in John 11, beginning. And I think I'm going to start, instead of at verse 32, I'm going to start at verse 28, continuing where Hans left off. When she had said this, that's referring back to Martha, who said, "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah." When she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary and told her privately, "Teacher is here and is calling for you." And when she heard it, she got up quickly and she went to him. Now, Jesus had not yet come to the village, but was still at that place where Martha had met him. The Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary get up quickly and go out. And they followed her because, well, they thought that she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she knelt at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, well, he was greatly disturbed in spirit and deeply moved. He said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Lord, come and see." And Jesus began to weep. So the Jews said, "We'll see how you love him." But some of them said, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" Then Jesus, again greatly disturbed, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone was lying against it. And Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha, the sister of the dead man, said to him, "Lord, already there is a stench because he has been dead for 4 days." And Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone, and Jesus looked upward and said, "Abba, Father, I thank you for having heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I have said this for the sake of the crowd standing here, so that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, he cried with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound with strips of cloth, and his face wrapped in a cloth. And Jesus said to them, "Unbind him and let him go." Many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and who had seen what Jesus did, believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what he had done. And so the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the council and said, "What are we going to do? This man is performing many signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him. And the Romans will come and destroy both our holy place and our nation." But one of them, Caiaphas, who was the high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all. You do not understand that it is better for you to have one man die for the people than to have the whole nation destroyed." Thus ends the reading of the word. Everybody knows this story. Everybody knows the story of Lazarus. As a matter of fact, there are 3 sections or 3 segments of this story that everybody knows and everybody can quote you. One of the first ones starts with, "Teacher, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." Do you realize that's said twice in this scripture? It comes out of both of the women's mouths. It comes out of Martha's mouth and it comes out of Mary's mouth. And it's a complaint. Now you're saying, complaint? Well, there's no complaining in scripture. Like, there's no crying in baseball. Remember that great line? There is precedent for complaint in Scripture. There's much precedent. If you just open the Psalms, you can just go like this, practically, and hit a psalm where there is a great complaint. As a matter of fact, you ask somebody, "So what's your favorite psalm?" And they go, "Psalm 23. It's the only one they know. Michael said it. The one right next to it is Psalm 22. And Psalm 22, nobody wants to read. My God, why have you forsaken me? I don't even want to read on after that part. Well, if you do Psalm 2, Psalm 6, Psalm 10, 13, 22, 38, 60, 74, 77, 80, 82, 109, 120, 130, 137, 142. Any of those, if you read them, are complaints. But let me tell you, complaints are a good way to communicate with God. They're a great way to communicate with God. Who was it who said you can't complain to God? Of course you can complain. So when Mary and Martha say to Jesus, if you had been here, Lord, he wouldn't have died. It's a complaint. It isn't a wimpy, if you had been here, Lord, he wouldn't have died. No, it's a complaint. And I want to put a face on Martha. Okay? So if Martha's saying it, go ahead. I would see what it looks like, see what it sounds like if you put Katharine Hepburn's face on it. If you had been here, Lord, you would have done. Put Betty Davis's face on it. If you had been here, Lord, you wouldn't have died. Or put Tallulah Bankhead's face on it. If you had been here, Lord, you wouldn't have died. Okay, or Estelle Getty from The Golden Girls. If you had been here, Lord, you wouldn't have died. Or B. Arthur. If you had been here, he wouldn't have died. Put faces on the people who say these things, and suddenly it becomes human. If you put a different face on Mary, and okay, let's say Jane Fonda from 40 years ago. If you had been here, you wouldn't have died. Or Miriam Hopkins from 45 or 50 years ago. If you had been here, Lord, you wouldn't have died. Put faces on the complaint. What's the other line from John that everybody remembers? And Jesus wept. Everybody's heard that. But you know, there's an awful lot of ink to this story. John uses a heck of a lot of ink, and there are only maybe 1 or 2 verses where Lazarus is actually raised. All of the rest of the ink is about the build-up. All of the rest of the ink in this incredibly long story is about the build-up. It's about Jesus being called and being asked to come. It's about the delay. It's about the if you would have been here, he wouldn't have died in the first place. It's about all of the people who are gathered and who are grieving and who are in pain. And it's about Jesus getting distressed and disturbed and upset and angry because he sees people who are grieving and distressed and in pain. When they refer to Jesus wept, the Greek word that is really translated here when they talk about Jesus being disturbed, it has to do about his being not upset so much about why people are weeping and wailing and grieving, but more that his friends are in pain, that his friends are hurting, and he's disturbed about their being in pain.